Hey guys, Todd here. Today we are going to be talking about one of my favorite things to do, and that is mushroom hunting. If you've come to this video looking for ways to identify all of those mushrooms that you find, figure out the Latin names, whether they're poisonous, whether they're edible, you've come to the wrong place. I am by no means an expert on mushrooms. I just love to hunt for them. I love to take pictures of them. There are several that I love to cook and eat. I have become familiar with the mushrooms in my area, and I suggest you do the same thing. You need to become familiar with the mushrooms in your area to be able to identify them. There's plenty of other videos out there, plenty of books out there that tell you how to identify mushrooms in your particular area. I really suggest you look into those and kind of learn more about the mushrooms. This video is just to talk to you about what do you need to start mushroom hunting. The short answer, nothing. You just need to be able to go outside. Go outside, walk around, walk in the woods, walk through a park. Mushrooms are everywhere. Whether you're going to eat them, if you're going to take pictures of them, if you're going to pick them just to dry them, use them in artwork or something like that, there's plenty of mushrooms you can find. And I'm going to show you the gear that I take when I go out mushroom hunting. Most of it you already have around your house. It's nothing complicated, but I'll show you what I take, what I do, and just kind of my whole process for finding mushrooms. Hope you enjoy it. When I go mushroom hunting, there's a couple of things that I really like to take with. Of course, a couple of very good mushroom identification books. Try to find ones that are specific to your area where you live. They're going to give you better information. Always try to take at least 2 different publications when I'm trying to identify mushrooms. A third source is even better. A lot of times I'll use the internet for that third source, but I want to be sure I know what it is I'm picking, if I'm going to eat them. I want to make sure it's something that's safe to eat. The other thing I always like to take a logbook and a pen so I can keep track of information, where I found mushrooms, what type of mushrooms, the weather, the time, the date, of course, location, even altitude will make a difference. And of course, I always take some maps. I try to plan out where I'm going to go to look for mushrooms, even though you can literally go outside your backyard. You can go for a walk in the local park. If you're going to make a day of it, like I like to do, I will oftentimes plan my trip. I will mark down the trails I'm going to go on. I'm going to try and look for specific mushrooms, specific times of the year, at specific altitudes or specific areas. So maps really come in handy. So when I'm getting ready to go mushroom hunting, and it's going to be a longer trip, a couple of hours maybe, or even all day, half a day, here's kind of what I take. I always wear some really comfortable clothes. I tend to wear long pants just because you never know what kind of brush and weeds you can be crawling in. You certainly don't want to get into any poison ivy or poison oak or anything like that. I usually take a jacket of some sort. I tend to favor lightweight jackets, rain jackets. A lot of times I'll go out after it's rained. There might still be water dripping off the trees. Some type of comfortable shoe. Most of the time I just wear a hiking tennis shoe. However, if I know it just rained, I'm probably going to grab my boots. Going to expect it to be a little bit muddy. Sometimes I don't go out when it's rainy and it's really sunny. I'll make sure I take my hat with me just to keep the sun off my face so I don't get sunburned. I do have a bigger sun hat if I'm in open areas. Also great, again, for rain. Keeps you a little bit drier. Usually grab my day pack. My day pack, of course, I throw everything inside my day pack that I'm not using at the moment. I also have a first aid kit inside there. Good place to put my car keys, things like that. Always try to grab a notebook so I can keep track of where we're going, where we found mushrooms, make notes, things like that. In addition to my mesh bag that I always carry, I also take my foraging bag, which is a bigger bag that I made out of a piece of canvas that will hold larger mushrooms, or if I find something else along the way, like some wild asparagus or something like that, I always like to throw that in that bag. It's always good to have. And of course, along with all that, I always bring my smaller mushroom identification book so I can try to identify mushrooms while I'm on the trail, and then I look them up in the bigger book when I get back to the car, or I also look them up on the internet. I always try to have maps with me so I can mark where I'm at when I find stuff, especially if it's someplace that I want to go back to again. I always take a pocket knife with me for cutting mushrooms. Some of them are attached really well, so I try to make sure I've got a knife with me. Usually take some kind of a snack with me. It's always good to have something to munch on while you're out and about. And then of course, I also take a camera. I like to take pictures of my mushrooms. I like to photograph mushrooms even if I don't plan on eating them or picking them to take them home. I still like to photograph them and then try to identify them later. You certainly don't need all this stuff. You can literally go out in just your jeans and a t-shirt if you'd like, if you're only going out for a little while. But definitely if you're going out for a little longer, make sure you take a water bottle, take a snack, and take some of these other items with you. You'll really be glad that you did. However, the one thing that I would say you're going to want is some type of a basket or a mesh bag to carry them in. This is a mesh bag. I picked these up. I think they were 4 for $6 on Amazon. I've actually got some rose hips in there right now that I'd picked the other day. But something like this allows you to put the mushrooms in it. The mushrooms can still drop spores and the spores continue to spread, and it doesn't make the mushrooms sweat like a plastic bag will. This is a fantastic thing to put your mushrooms in. So where's a good place to start looking for mushrooms? I know I said anywhere, and you literally can go anywhere, but great places to look are anywhere where there are some downed trees or dead trees. Mushrooms are decomposers, and so they like to grow on dead, rotting logs. Any place that might have some old cut down trees. Doesn't really make a difference if it's hardwoods or if it's pine forest. I do really like the edges of hardwood forests, maybe on the edge of a field where it gets some sunlight, but where there's lots of ground cover that really helps trap the moisture in. Mushrooms really do love wetter environments, so any place where there's rotting leaves, rotting logs, anything like that is a great place to go. I've had some people tell me you can't find mushrooms in pine forest. That absolutely is not the case. There are lots of mushrooms in pine forests, so make sure that you're looking even around pine trees. I've found lots of morels under pine trees. One of the other things is when you're out and about and you're looking for mushrooms, make sure you take the time to kind of slow down, look around, get off the trail a little bit. Don't just look at the ground, but look up in the air too. A lot of mushrooms grow up on the edges of trees. And don't forget, mushrooms come in all different sizes. These little guys are about 1.5 to 2 inch wide. That is on the smaller end, whereas these guys are well over 12 inches wide. These are some artist conchs. They also are different sizes depending on their life cycle stage. These are some oyster mushrooms that were growing in a willow tree, actually right in my backyard. and they're just starting out, where this is a mature oyster mushroom. We couldn't pass this one up. It was growing on an old tree stump along a path to a hunting area that I go. So once you find some mushrooms, you're going to want to try and identify them just so you know what they are. Whether you're going to actually do looking for mushrooms to eat, or you just want to know what they are for future reference, you want to take pictures of them or whatever. Go ahead, look at the entire mushroom, look at the top, the bottom, look at where it's growing, try and get an idea of the environment that it's in. Always try to take notes what types of trees are around it. Mushrooms grow in a lot of weird places and in a lot of weird ways. I've seen them way up at the tops of trees, I've seen them under logs, I've seen them growing out of what appeared to be a crack in a rock. So make sure you just kind of note all of that stuff when you're trying to identify your mushrooms. Here are just a few of the types of mushrooms that I find in my area. This is something called wolf's milk slime mold. It's not, in my opinion, a true mushroom, but it's kind of neat to find. It's not very big. They have little round sacs, and I'm just amazed at the fluorescent pink liquid that's inside these. They're just kind of neat to play with. One of the things I enjoy most about mushroom hunting has nothing to do with the mushrooms. It's getting out in nature, seeing all the different types of wildlife and insects, and just all the really cool things that you can find. Found some cool fishing areas. Here's some trout swimming around in a little stream. Also, I find lots of other edible foods. This is a prime example of a typical spring foraging mushroom hunting outing for me. And of course, me being kind of a foodie, main reason I like to go mushroom hunting is I do like to eat my mushrooms. So that's kind of it. Let me know if you enjoyed the video. Please leave me comments, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel. It's always a great idea to share the outdoors with family and friends. And most importantly, find your happy place and go there often. Thanks for watching.